Hello everyone, welcome to the next lecture of our module of aggression. So, in this module, we will be talking about neurobiology of aggression. So, we will be talking about neurobiology of aggression. So, when we talk about neurobiology of aggression, I will definitely show you the photos, the diagrams that are there. Before that, let's take a holistic look. We will be talking about 4 conditions where psychiatric conditions where aggression is seen. Borderline personality disorder, although let me just clarify this point that in this ICD-11, the concept of borderline personality disorder or antisocial personality disorder, these things have been discarded and we have moved from a categorical classification to a more dimensional based classification. So, we will use the term like borderline traits or antisocial or dissocial, as ICD-11 says, traits. Okay. So, we will be talking about the aggression that is seen in antisocial personality disorder or patients with antisocial traits, patients with borderline traits, patients with psychosis or BPSD, that is behavioral and psychological symptoms in dementia, as well as in patients with PTSD. So, there is an empirical diagram, and if you can draw with me, okay, I'll be while writing, and once I write, I will explain the slide. If not, even if it is self-explanatory, okay. So, susceptibility to aggression, okay. So, what are the 4 things that we're talking about? One was agitation in psychosis or BPSD, okay. Another thing what we're talking about that aggression due to PTSD, okay. Borderline traits and antisocial traits. Antisocial traits. So, what can cause all these things? So, first of all, if there is history of trauma, H/O is history of trauma. So, if the patient is already susceptible to aggression with a superimposed history of trauma, then patient might develop PTSD with aggressive features. Next is cognitive impairments or behavioral disorganization. So, this can lead to, as you know, disorganization is one of the symptoms of schizophrenia or psychosis. And if a person already susceptible to aggression, what do we mean by susceptibility? As we have talked about before, the psychological factors, the social factors, those parts, along with the genetic factors, which we will discuss over here in this module, makes a person susceptible to aggression. If superimposed on them, patient develops some disorders in the brain like cognitive impairment or behavioral disinhibition, mainly in the regions of prefrontal cortex, cortical region or the decision making region, it can result in agitation or aggression due to psychosis or BPSD. Now, again, in borderline, what will happen? There will be emotional dysregulation. Emotional dysregulation will give rise to aggression in a person who has high borderline traits. Again, psychopathy. Psychopathy is okay. So, one thing I need to clarify over here, psychopathy means that the person's brain is attuned to psychopathy. By this term, I mean that the neurobiology of the brain is more in favor of antisocial traits. Okay, the neurobiology of antisocial personality disorder as well as the neurobiology of borderline personality disorder has been covered in the personality disorder module. Okay, and if you want, you can go and check it out over there. So I hope this part is fine. It is pretty much self-explanatory that if a person, so a person who is already susceptible to aggression, in that person, if there is a history of trauma, there can be aggression due to PTSD, behavioral disorganization or cognitive impairment, agitation in BPSD or psychosis, emotional dysregulation or dysfunction, aggression in borderline traits, and antisocial traits or antisocial personality disorder, if I dare say, or even borderline personality disorder. Due to that, psychopathy can give rise to antisocial aggression due to antisocial traits or antisocial personality disorder. Now, coming to if you see this photo carefully, the three main neuroanatomical substrates of aggression. What are they? Number one, that is the limbic system, which has amygdala, hippocampus, and septum. Okay. Next is obviously our prefrontal cortex. The last one is hypothalamus. The next few slides, we will discuss about all these neuroanatomical substrates in details and how they affect the development of aggression. Then we will move on to the neurochemistry or the neurochemical part of aggression, then the genetics part, and briefly we will discuss some disorders in which aggression is a prominent feature. So, as you can see, as I have marked over here, that limbic system, limbic nuclei, amygdala, this part is involved in aggression. Next, the PFC is over here, involved in aggression, as well as the hypothalamus. Hypothalamic nuclei is involved in aggression. Now, which hypothalamic nuclei is involved in aggression? Which part of amygdala is involved in aggression? How does the prefrontal cortex, which area of the prefrontal cortex is involved in aggression? We will all discuss them in the upcoming slides. One thing to remember over here is that we have, so this is the cortical region, and limbic system and hypothalamus, these two are the subcortical regions. So, there is an interface between cortical, two networks are there, cortical network, subcortical network, okay, and they mainly interact where? At the limbic area. So, in this, because as we know that there are profuse connections of the limbic region with the subcortical region with the cortical region. So, due to these interactions, we can get all sorts of aggressive behavior. So, apart from these, another area that is involved is the brainstem. So, if you can see in this photo that the brainstem is involved in the neurobiology of aggression. Over here also, if you see in this photo also, the nuclei of periaqueductal gray, which is a part of the brainstem, was also involved in aggression. Here again, this VTA, PAG, all these are part of the brainstem. Okay, so we will talk about this. First we will talk about how the brainstem is involved in aggression. All the structures are over here, as you can see, as I mentioned, brainstem, structure 1, hypothalamus, structure 2, amygdala, that is a limbic system, structure 3, and the front cortical region, structure 4. These 4 interplay regions are involved in, along with other chemicals, mainly dopamine and others, they are involved in the aggressive behavior. So, first of all, role of brainstem. Role of brainstem. Okay. What is the role of brainstem? So, there are 3 distinct roles of the brainstem. 3 distinct roles. What are the 3 distinct roles of the brainstem? First is perception of a threat. So, first is perception of threat by superior and inferior colliculi. As you know that the brainstem has superior and inferior colliculi and dorsal periaqueductal gray, that is PAC. Okay, this is one of the role. What is the second role? What is the third role? So, second role of the brainstem, the neurobiology of aggression, is that the VTA that we have seen over here, as you can see, VTA, we talked about the PAG, next comes the VTA. The VTA projects, as you know, ventral tegmental area will obviously give dopamine. Dopamine, DA is dopamine, to limbic cortex, hypothalamus, amygdala, okay, and nucleus accumbens and septal area. NSE is nucleus accumbens. This is the, as you know, the VTA will go to the nucleus accumbens. So, mesolimbic part. Basically, the VTA that is present in the brainstem projects dopamine to various areas, including the limbic cortex, hypothalamus, amygdala, and nucleus accumbens, as well as the septal area. Finally, we have last part, third part, that is the raphe nucleus. So, as you know that serotonin is mainly secreted by the midline raphe, dorsal raphe nucleus. Raphe nucleus projections 5HT to cerebral areas, and this dampen, decrease or dampen aggression. So, you see over here, if we can clinically correlate increase in dopamine increases aggression. That is why to reduce aggression, we give risperidone or haloperidol, such kind of drugs, right? To decrease aggression. On the other hand, decrease serotonin acts as a dampener. So, antidepressants in the long run inhibit sympathetic activity, and it is sympathogenic in the long run, and also it causes, what it causes is basically nothing but decrease in aggressive behavior.